Okay.
All right, we call the meeting to order at 6:04. Let's all rise and I'd like to start behind here for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Well, I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank everybody for signing on here tonight. We're going to work our way through this. So we're going to break the consent agenda into two parts. We'll have the minutes and then everything else, and we're actually going to have to. We'll just wait till Jack comes through the minutes part, but I think we can do the rest. If there's no objection or if nobody wants anything removed. Do we have a motion for B through E on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Hayden.
Seconded.
Second by Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. All right. Well, we're going to move on. We'll leave the minutes until we have Jackson here. We don't have a presentation tonight. We're going to skip our first public audience tonight. They're only about right into the meeting, so we want to get a little more comfortable with this way of holding meetings. But we will have our second public audience at the end of the meeting. I'm not aware of any communications. Business, we have no old business on the agenda tonight. Under business affairs, we'll jump right into business affairs A, which is administrative reports and BOC's budget. That's just for information.
Yep, this is an information item, and just some information of how where we are. The BOC's board already had their public hearing posted, and they're before all the COVID-19 things happened. So legally, they are stuck with the budget that they have presented and put out through the public hearing prior to everything happening. So on the 21st, the information that's attached to the agenda is the information that the board will be voting on the 21st at the BOCE-wide vote. It includes their budget, basically, which is that administrative and capital budget. And then there are some vacancies for board spots that are listed there as well. In talking with Mr. Dexter, he has said since there is recognition that since this budget has been put forward, there's going to be need for some changes, and they're already starting to make adjustments to this budget, and they'll have that information for us as they go through that process. So when it comes to the 21st, this is what we'll vote on, but what is actually going to end up being enacted is going to be a different number. It's just the way that they're talking about and where the legal language works is that they needed to continue with this budget. So I just ask the board to keep that in mind as we move forward.
Perfect. And anything further on that topic?
No, nothing for me.
All right. Any questions for the superintendent? Hearing none, we'll move on to business affairs B, the copier lease. We have a motion on the recommendation of the superintendent to approve a 5-year lease as stated in the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Ashley. Second by Ann. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Moving on to instructional affairs, news and notes. Superintendent's report.
Okay. Nothing's been happening in the past month at all. Of course, at this point, we are now a full month into school closure because of the COVID-19 and the crisis that is there. At this point, we're coming to the point now where we are somewhat on a regular schedule, if you can call it that. The principals and the teachers have the instructional program set and moving forward, which I'll let them talk about in their report. The feeding program, we're feeding over 300 kids a day, breakfast and lunch, Monday through Thursday. 2 meals going in on Thursday. The daycare program is in place for both these for a week, with the campsite, to be started on Monday. So kind of our three main, responsibilities as a district are up and running and moving forward. At this point, there's still a lot that is out there that has been changed. A lot of accountability measures for districts have been moved back or altered and changed. The three assessments have been canceled. The regents exam has been canceled. Guidance on how we handle all that is being put forward, and the principals are handling all of that work. At this point, our focus is on how are we maintaining what we're doing, how are we communicating those changes out to everybody, and then how prepared are we going to be when it comes time to transition back into regular school. And at this point, we're not sure when that is. The government controls that process. It is, you hear different things. The closure is officially done at the end of the month, but extenders have been coming every 2 weeks. So could it be we're back, with early May or mid-May? Maybe. We could be done to the end of the year? Maybe. But whenever that happens, we're already in conversations about what does that look like when we return, and then what do we need to do to kind of help fill the gaps up to address all the issues, so there's multiple as a result of the closure. We aren't doing this work alone. There's a great deal of collaboration taking place across the region through the BOE and with some folks in Albany. The support has been tremendous from the community, and I'm very appreciative of that. And a lot of understanding as we go through a lot of changes in a very short period of time. I'm sure there's 900 questions on the closure. That is like the 150,000 foot view of it. It's the work that our folks in the cafeteria and the custodial staff and the aides and the teachers and the principals and the other administrators have been doing here has been exemplary. Certainly something for, a part of it is just that tells us what we are and who we are and what we do. But it's certainly something to be very proud of. Because this isn't easy, and they're making it look like it is. It's not. That's all I have specifically on the closures. If there's questions, I'll be happy to answer them, and then I'll move into my other items. Hi, Jackie.
Hi.
Okay, first at any time, for folks who are here or folks anywhere, if there are questions, just don't hesitate to contact us. We are certainly not full staff here, but we are fully connected, and we'll get back to folks and answer questions as quickly as we can with the most information we can do. Second is the state budget. A part of the agenda is we put together a comparative of from the state. The budget has been passed. It is first blush at the revenue pieces. You look at it and say, hey, this isn't necessarily too bad. But you realize that a large chunk of our initial revenue is based on receiving federal funds that there's no guarantee that we're going to receive. So that's kind of check number one. The other part of this budget, on the financial side of things, there are look-back periods that are included in this budget. So the state is actually going to base its revenues on actual cash. So when it comes into April, at the end of this month, they're going to look back at what their actual cash receipts are and then adjust their rate accordingly. The challenge for us is that we don't know what, for everybody, is that we don't know what that number is going to be. So when we come through and say we're supposed to get $200,000 in the end of April, and they say we only got half the revenue we anticipated, so you're not getting $200,000, you're only going to get $100,000. Then we have to be able to react to that $100,000 loss. And they're going to do that three times through the fiscal year, which means we have to be ready to know how to adjust to that additional loss. There isn't anyone that we've heard from Albany or otherwise who believes that money is going to be higher. And the number that we have right now is just kind of a floating number. It is not a floor. So the amount of money we can receive can go less. It creates a very interesting challenge for us in that usually we at least have an idea of what the state number is going to be, and then so we at least have a target. Right now, we don't know what our target is because what is given is their best guess, and we have to figure out how can we kind of prejudge that and try to come up with a budget that does things that we need to do not only academically, but also help to adjust for the things that we've missed out on this year and to kind of fill those academic goals and support the students' needs, while still keeping the district, functioning the way we want it to in the upcoming year. Best guidance that we have received from anyone is to wait for the April 30th date before getting serious on building a budget, see what that first look-back period looks like. And that's kind of where Karen and I are at this point. And then because once we have an idea of what that first round looks like, we'll have a better idea of what the other three may look to. That's where we are with the budget right now. We're certainly working and looking at ideas and having conversations and reexamining everything, because everything that we presented to you in January now really doesn't apply. So we're almost going back to scratch and taking a new approach to look at the budget. So we have probably the most challenging budget we've had faced here. The 2009 to 2010 Great Recession budget building as a superintendent, and this has more challenges than that time did. That was tough. So we'll see what it brings, but a lot more conversations to have here as soon as we have a better idea of where it's at. Any questions on the budget piece?
Dr. Glover, what is our actual cap for property tax or school tax? What's the top number?
Our actual top number is 5.330 is the
Is it really?
Yeah, it's up there. Part of that's because of what we anticipate spending in the building project.
Okay.
So we have some space there. So, but with 1% is about $51,000 on the levy. We're looking at 2, so there's about another $150,000 that we could garner if we wanted to go up to that high and still have to worry about a supermajority. That's certainly on the table.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3 is the food for thought, just for the board to consider how we want to handle future meetings, like the format that we're in for a while. But how do we want to handle future meetings coming up? My current thought is we follow the budget. Once we have a better idea of what happens with the budget, and then we can react to what that budget does. We do have a meeting on the 21st, which we have to have. That is our monthly budget. And there are a couple of items we need to take care of on that day, personnel related. So we should at least have a business meeting on that day, whether you want to have it to be a regular meeting, or if you want it to be just a straight kind of business meeting to get the business piece done, and then look to another. So just food for thought there, just for you to consider and how we want to handle it in the future. With that, I could probably talk for another hour, but I'm not going to. Unless you have any questions.
I'm sorry, I missed this question when you were talking about the closure.
Yep.
Are you finding at the school level that you have enough resources for the students to do their learning? I mean, do you have each of the principals and the teachers, are they having enough resources to get that learning out and information out for the kids?
Yep, I'll let the principals kind of get into the specifics where that is. It's in some cases I think we're doing well with that. In other cases we're kind of victim of our geography a little bit. But that hasn't stopped us from trying to find new ways and take different approaches to make sure those resources get out. Even in looking at bringing in some new options for folks to there. So we're not 100% in that area, but every time we run into something, we start looking for ways to try to overcome it, and we've been doing pretty well.
just since I don't have kids in school, I don't see that side of it, so I'm just asking. And our job is to help provide the resources, so I just wanted to see if, they were running into roadblocks or something.
I think probably our biggest roadblock that we're running into is related to connectivity. With wireless. I was with the other Washington County superintendents in a meeting with T-Mobile, and we've been talking with Spectrum and AT&T and Verizon and any other providers for what we might be able to do to help out with some Wi-Fi connection for teachers as well as for students. We have some teachers who are doing some of their work from their cars. Jackie, during your board meeting. And so we're trying to find some of those ways. Our problem is we're stuck between the Adirondacks and Green Mountains. And because of that, for us, it creates a real challenge.
Thank you.
Okay. We don't have principal reports tonight?
Both principals are here to answer questions. Julie's on and Karen's at the table next to me.
Excellent. All right. I have you unmuted if you would like to share your hand.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Clear and a little echo.
Give me 1 second.
Can you hear me now?
We got you, Karen.
Okay. So, mine is a note. So, I went back and I looked at the notes from the last meeting and things that were coming up, and two of the things that really kind of stood out to me, so I thought I'd share it, was we did have the Aristocats play, and it went beautifully, which was wonderful. And we did Read Across America, which I'm sure many of you saw the photo of me dressed as the Cat in the Hat, and we had things 1 through pretty much 100 on campus, and every teacher wore the number, and it was great. The kids really loved it. So it was really nice to at least have gotten those things in right before we closed our doors. On closing our doors has been a lot that has happened, there's just too many shout-outs to even get to everybody. But we have teachers that have, for the first time, started Google Classrooms that are just amazing. They're reading books on there to their students. I've even popped in on a few classrooms and done a few recordings of reading for them. They're actually teaching lessons online. A lot of them have been doing projects like time capsules, building catapults. They've created books. First grade even did a friendship circle book, which I thought was really cool. Just really neat things to try and stay connected was a big thing for them. I'm sure most of you have seen my weekly video messages, which are comical in themselves if you knew the recordings that had to happen for those to happen. But I've gotten some really positive feedback on that. I felt it was a nice personal touch for a lot of our families and for the kids, besides just showing up in their online. What is it? Okay. Yes, sir?
No, sorry, I was waving at somebody on the street. No.
Can't hear you.
I was just waving at somebody on the street. Carry on.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. No, it's just
now I can hear you.
John Hickman walked past and waved, so I gave him a big wave.
Oh.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
John Hickman was walking by the store and waved. So.
Okay. That's okay. We have done the, as you know, the food distribution stuff, but organizing the aides who have been indispensable. So many of them have stepped up after their routes. They'll come in and sometimes they'll help us with the handing out of work to students or to getting Chromebooks in the hands of kids, as well as just sorting and organizing all of the paperwork that needs to go out. With that being said, Amy Pist has come in and has been another one that this could not have happened without her help. Just that organization of the work with paper-based kids is just it's far more than I thought it would be, and it has just run so smoothly each week. We have a definite system down, and it's just wonderful. Julie, I'm going to give her a little shout out because she won't do it for herself, really stepped up and working with Justin, organized the Chromebooks for all of our kids throughout the district that were in need of the technology. Or maybe they had the internet access, but they didn't have a tool of their own, so we've been trying to disperse those this week. The other thing would have to be the CSE meetings that have actually been happening, which has been great. So we're staying in compliance and making sure they're all happening. And with that being said, there's also the OT, PT, and stuff that, those teachers have just stepped up and have been on the phone. They've been video chatting, sending materials, modeling, and videos of how to use it. It's just been counseling as well. I know Francesca has been on the phone and video chatted with a lot of different kiddos, and I'm just really proud of all the efforts that they've all been making. It's just been astounding. A lot. So, any questions?
No, that all sounds great. I have no questions. I just wanted to thank you for your video messages. I was looking for it last week. I was anticipating it, and the boys and I watched it, and I've heard a number of very positive comments on it. So thank you.
Thank you. Good job, Karen. Thank you.
Ms. Adams.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I could unmute myself. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Wow. So, I will say that what I'll do is I'm going to add what Ms. Vera just spoke about, because I think what she alluded to in her update was that one of the things this has done is that we are just currently just operating as a district team. It was really that division between buildings really doesn't seem like it's there right now, and I think that's amazing. It's supposed to really think about, I think, our district and what we're all willing to do for each other. Being out here in Sarasota County where there's a little more, I think, infection rate, and so for me, not wanting to necessarily be putting everyone at risk, we kind of try to divide up the work into kind of more district functions, and so I appreciate what some of the elementary needs have been doing, especially high school, vice versa. So I think we've been really working as a great team. I think we can't say enough also about the facilities crew and Justin, and they really just as the aides are really just not defining, their roles are undefined right now, but they're just pitching in wherever is needed. So I just wanted to shout out to them. I think the transition for remote learning has been a challenge in some ways for us. I think we had some teachers that were very comfortable with Google Classroom and have been using it, but just so proud to say that everyone really just jumped in who wasn't on it. I think so positive, really in such a stressful time, wanting to do right by the students and be prepared for them and serve them in their needs, that really I'm hearing how gracious was it forcing me to, really try something that I wanted to do all along. So I think that we're doing some great things, and just as Ms. Vieira shared, I think we have that very real challenge, as Dr. Glover said, about the connectivity. We were fortunate enough to just suddenly kind of seeing this on the horizon. Our faculty pulled together, and we put together a very quick, it was somewhat rough, but a survey to look at our tech needs for our student, what kind of devices do they have at home, what's their connectivity. And that we did that on the Friday, the day before we decided that we would need to close. And that helped us a lot, I think, looking at the needs of our students and our families. We have about 15 of our students have no access and strictly paper-based. And we have a fair amount of students that only have a smartphone for a device. They've been working hard, in the short term, We weren't sure how long this was going to go on, and they were working hard and making their best effort on their phones. And now, as Ms. Vera pointed out, we're working to get devices in the hands of students who need them, who need a larger device so that they can work longer term remotely. So again, it speaks to the great flexibility of our teachers. So we've got this online learning. We've got some students that are doing a little of both, depending on the reliability of their connectivity, and then we have straight paper-based. And it has provided some challenges, but we're working through those. I think for families that are out there, listening and or may watch this later, I think the biggest thing is reach out and touch with either a teacher or myself. There's a message at the office. We can work with you, and I think a lot of the families have been happy to see how we can kind of really adapt for whatever their needs are in the household. As you will know, as you know already, I think the region, you've heard about the region's conviction, so I just want to speak very briefly. I did put out communications to families on the website. I won't go through all of the changes and modifications, but just to highlight that there are some exemptions that are now in place for our students. Just to try to put it simply, and if you have more questions, we put some links to the full documents on the website, or you can reach out to me. But very simply, that any student that was in a course that's ending in the Regents this year will be exempt from that Regents as long as they complete the work of the course. And right now, as teachers and as a faculty, we're kind of working on what does that mean. And as Dr. Glover pointed out, that we're operating under the assumption right now that we're going to return at the end of April. And so it's hard to plan longer term and just try to communicate to everybody what exactly would the requirements of the course look like. We're trying to take a chunk at a time. I appreciate the flexibility of the teachers because sometimes we're working on short notice in terms of how we're grading a quarter or what our expectations are. And so we have working on flexibility there. So, but that's great news for our students. I went through all of our seniors yesterday, and no one is doesn't seem to be negatively impacted by the closures or any of the requirements. Everyone should be on track, that was on track. And we're now working through our juniors and the rest of our students just to look at really what that means for our students, especially if they were retaking exams or repeating a course. So there's a lot of flexibility there from the region, so we appreciate having that information. And if you want to ask me more questions at the end, you can do that. I have a few other updates. The other thing we're trying to work on is that curriculum piece, because we do have that piece of 9 through 12 for course credit in terms of the diploma requirements. So, we're also looking at it for 7-8, but foundationally we're looking at that a little different. So our next steps right now is to start planning if the closure is longer term. So, I was at some video meetings today with both even the principals and the support staff there. And so we're really working on a process to get some CD out to teachers, work with teachers to look at what prioritizing the standards and what is important in the course that's left to teach, working with them to help prioritize that, what supports do we need for the students to be able to achieve those, and then looking at how will we measure those. So there are a lot of questions right now about how we will grade quarter 4. We're not sure yet. We're still, most teachers are still working in the same way that they were working before, giving grades, giving feedback. And we'll look down the road if this extension goes further in terms of do we need a more holistic approach for the quarter and how will that affect averages. So it is on our mind, but it's not something right now that we have that we're able to make a decision about. So we appreciate everybody's patience on that. And as soon as we know more, we will communicate with everyone. Finally, just a couple other updates. Ms. Perkins, as you know, is our junior and senior advisor, and she has been working with me right now on prom. And we due just to the uncertainty of prom was the first weekend of May, the uncertainty that still is out there, we made the decision to postpone the prom. Right now, she's working, and also with the after prom committee, we're looking at the options. If there's a possibility to reschedule for maybe late summer or fall, that would be maybe the first consideration. So the students do not have to wait for another year. But we will be having the junior prom. It's just a matter of when. So we're looking at our options. We will communicate with her. And finally, just a brief update, not a lot to share about athletics. So Mr. Zarzicki gave me an update today. He was at a section athletic directors meeting today. And SWA is really working on some options that, and hoping that some form of sports will be played for the spring season if we're able to return. So the Adirondack League, which we're a part of, it has been, so all the leagues and sections are asked to give input if they would want to look at playoffs and what kind of a seasons would they like to have. The Adirondack League wants to support ISPA's effort to provide spring sports championships. So it's very loose right now, but I know there are a lot of athletes out there that are holding out hope and miss their sports season. So, if we can come back, we anticipate that our league in some way will be participating in league and section competition. So just an update about that. So I know that was a little long, but I did want to just try to give you a little bit of an overview. Just to answer Duncan's question about resources for learning, I think we're pretty set right now. We're looking at the Chromebooks, and that's our biggest challenge, is getting Chromebooks in the hands of students who need them. At this point, we have enough. We don't have enough for every student at this point, and increasing our numbers periodically with purchases each year, but we feel that we have what we need, and at our level, we're still in the process of contacting families and waiting to hear back from them. So we've had contact with about half the families on that survey, and hope probably by Monday or Tuesday we'll reach everyone to see whether or not they want to take advantage of that device. So other than that, I think we're doing pretty well with our resources.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. That was a great report, and no, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm sure there's a bunch of students who don't need them. So for the ones who really benefit, I think that makes a lot of sense to try to get them out there. Any other questions for Ms. Adams? All right. Well, moving on then. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for both those reports. Great. Moving on to the capital project update.
For the capital project, the project is still on. In the latest executive order for the police proclamation, school district projects have been considered exempt from non-essential work, which means we still have the ability to move forward, and are looking here to fairly soon to start taking care of the area behind the bus garage, get the layout area set up, so we can start kind of working through those bits and processes that are there. If we could get a longer extension to what the school year would be, we would jump in sooner. At one point, we were looking to get a little bit of a start onto the new addition at the end of the high school. There's a requirement for a emergency exit for the work we would have to do there, and the company cannot guarantee getting the emergency exit done within a 2-week time frame that would be required. So that's on hold for now. If we get a longer extension, we'll be able to start seeing some of this other work get started and take advantage of the closure to get some things moving forward. We're at the stage now where we are starting to get contracts in from the folks who are doing the work and the insurance binders, and that beginning paperwork, but also the work can actually start. Along with that, there's some commitments that we need to make to there, and that comes down to our locker room, to our locker room, gym bleachers, and our playground. There's some decisions to be made about just the bathrooms and the buildings. We'll talk there in a second. I think playground is probably the first piece that is planned to be fully replaced. Here, I've sent the board some models to look at, or some color options. I think we need a direction of where you want to move forward. And then once I have that, I can get that to the vendor so they can get it as part of the order, so they can really begin to build the equipment, so they can have it here at a time this summer, in order for it to be able to get in for help for next school year. There were still some questions left on the locker rooms and the coloring that's in there. We need to be able to have that information to the architect so they can get that as part of the order for the vendor for the work there, because that's work that's happening over the summer. The gym bleachers, we just basically need to decide, is this paper or plastic? Really, is it going to go with the wood bleachers, or are we going to go with the plastic vinyl version to there, just so we can get that shored up? That's a couple years out to hold this year's pricing. We need to let the contractor know at this point. For the rest of the building, we did have an interior decorator in here this week. And so she's been around and looked at the spaces and places and is working up some things. So I'll have some more information I hope to be able to share with you. Of course, in the 38 part of the building is what to match exactly what we have. So the tile patterns in the bathrooms will match the tile patterns in the bathroom. We even talked about matching the hardwood floors in the new nurse's office to match the other offices, and she thought that was a possibility to be able to make that happen. But when we talk about the new renovated spaces in the circle bathroom set that's renovated, and in the new build, she's working on some things there so it would look like it fits in as part of the building in an appropriate manner. That I think we have a little more time on as she does those pieces. So for us, it's really playground, gym bleachers, the one way or the other, and the locker room pieces that we need some, definite, what do we need for color, or what do we need for material, so I can get that to the architect and move forward.
Who's the designer through? Our architect?
Yeah, through the architect.
So, on the bleacher piece, I guess I'm going to be shocked to find out that I'm not a fan of the purple or plastic bleachers in general. So I would vote strongly for the wood. I don't know how others feel.
I like the idea of the wood. It's more eco-friendly than the plastic, and they've withstood the test of time. The ones that are in the gym now are 50 years old, and they've taken a beating, and they're still serviceable. So I do think that the wood. I like the idea of having the wood bleachers.
I agree with both of you.
I agree as well. I think the wood makes it look nicer.
And that, I've been hearing that from the community, as most do, especially after our girls basketball game in Cambridge. I had several parents come by and go, do not make us sit in those things because they're groomed and you can't turn right into there. So thank you very much for that. That is set, and I'll get back to the architect to get in so we can get that price locked in. How do we feel about the locker rooms?
Let's go to the playground.
Okay, let's go to the playground.
It's a little bit easier one. So we have 8 ugly purples out back. I just worry about adding a 9th. And I should probably just say staying because everybody knows I'm going to say on all these things. So, but from my perspective, something neutral, something that it doesn't grab attention. The attention can come from the kids who are playing on it. But the audio khaki colors of it. But I'm very open to differences in opinion on that.
Well, one of the things for me is that these choices that we are making are going to have to withstand quite a long time, because you think about the locker rooms, they're over 50 years old. The playground was done, in the 80s?
No, the playground was done when my sister was in elementary school still, so
90s.
90s.
Yeah, so there's 30 years there anyway. So we're talking about choosing a fad color it's something it's just not going to stand up over time. So for me, I'm leaning more towards Bob's saying some more neutral colors, because that the kids can do, they still will enjoy the playground equipment, but the colors they won't be faded, they won't be, like, why did you choose certain colors? I mean, it's just, plus, I also have trouble because, I'm really not, I do tend to go more towards the neutral.
I guess my question would be, are there standard colors that they stay with over time? Like, so if we need to buy a replacement slide or we need a replacement swings, is there colors that stay on the test of time that have not changed over the years, I guess? So maybe the neutrals would be the best option.
When we had to replace some of the slides that we had in display, there wasn't an issue on that color that matched what we had. I think it was the blue that was out there, or it was the yellow that we had out there. So when we had something,
they didn't really match well.
Get that, but it wasn't a problem in terms of finding product or project. It was a case of, I think where you're going to find it, you're going to find playground colors change over time based on what's behind it. I think I'm just looking for what I had sent you. But I think what we'll find in some of it is those things that tend to be the greens and the browns that are out there are kind of the more standard of colors that are in place than some of the others.
I was trying to find that email because I opened that up, and the colors on the schemes, like there's different colors for the different parts, whether it's the bars or the slides or the posts. They did have a lot of the neutral, like gray or brownish tan kind of colors. But they didn't, they had like a purple. But I felt like all the colors were fairly, except for like a green. I think there was like a green or an orange. Besides that, they were pretty fairly, simple. Like not too bright.
Not bright like the Cambridge orange. That is so much orange.
They did have some orange and they did have some green, but I'm just saying like the colors that we're talking about, there are some, like dark blue, that kind of looks nice, and like a gray. So, I did write them down. I don't know where I wrote them down, and then I was trying to find that email with there's like 2 or 3 attachments with it, and I can't find it.
In the glove box, maybe, is it? Or?
So anyway, I feel like it was just sent in like March or February, but I'm still.
Yeah, it's unfortunately part of our March got eaten up by COVID.
Yeah.
So that's the part. Bob, if I can find it, I may actually ask you to give me some control so I can share it. Because I have it saved in the drive here. I'm looking to see if I can find it. But everyone can see it.
I feel like there was one with a purple that had grays, and like not a lot of purple, just a little bit of purple, but I can't.
Yeah.
Well,
that was
maybe our designer, I don't know, I know she's an interior designer, but even just if she can look at, because you can mix and match the different, you don't have to go with like one set thing. Just from what I recall anyways, from reading it. Maybe just take a look at it and put like 3 colors together, or, because it kind of is like the flooring part, the posts, and then coverings and slides, kind of broke it down into like those 3 or 4 areas. But
in the choices, because the one that had was like the school colors with the gray with it, that was actually a custom.
Okay.
And each of the materials had its own color to it. So like in the metal from the post is what the purple was, like the slides and the plastics were the yellow. And then anything that was like decking or anything like that, I thought I put a gray to.
Okay, yeah.
So that's for there. So instead of having a fourth color, I just kept the same one for there. I just added that in because I did. Just for comparison to look at. And of course, whenever you want to see something right off the bat, it's not findable. And I had no now the part of the challenge here is I can certainly actually reach out to interior design folks with going to be said like, hey, can you take these colors and throw
I can't hear you.
thing, and I can get that back to the vendor because we're purchasing this outside of the architect's piece, which is trying to pick exactly what we want. But certainly I can check into that. And Jackie, if you find what you have there for colors, let me know. And
Yep.
Forward if you had certain choices, because we can include those in too.
Okay.
That's there, and it's if we want to keep moving with, we want to keep. I have the generic. I don't know if it'll let me.
Yeah, I
Take a presenter for a second.
Yep, here we go.
Okay. Hey, can you see it? Can you see the playground pieces?
Not yet.
All right.
You can just see a new tab.
Okay. Little lag. So
Yeah.
of the pieces that I shared with everyone before, this was the one that was just all like there's like four different colors in there, and that was like the most colorful one they had in the mix, which is why I put that one in. The other two that I put were I think these two. Was the rainforest two were listed, and but here's all the colors that we were talking about. And you see how they have them laid out. So they're like, and for your metal pieces, your plastic, the polyurethane pieces, which tend to be the sidewalls, and then it's specific for what you want your decking to be. You know, decking you have 4 choices, and then where you want your climbers and your canopy colors to be. So they're all within those places. So if you just want, I can check with the interior person. And focusing on neutral is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think if you do neutral, you can accent it with something, like maybe purple or something, but more neutral than crazy colors. A lot of purple and yellow, I guess. Some, but not a lot.
So,
I'd rather purple than yellow, I guess.
You want it to be a little bright. It's for kids.
Yeah, yeah.
okay. So neutral colors in the gray for the school color accent.
Yeah.
Is anyone going to have to wrestle Bob over the school color accent?
Let's see what it looks like, but it may not be a hoop dial.
Okay. I'll see what I can do and how quickly we can get that piece together. I don't think it's anything that needs a board vote. Per se. It's here's a direction where we need to go for it so they get the color so we can get it in and go. Okay, let's second here. And
Perfect. So then the next piece is the locker rooms. What's our board members' thoughts on the locker rooms?
now,
I'm not going to start this time.
so if you want to show them to everybody, give me presenter back and I can show them.
You still have it, I think, Dave.
Oh, do I still have it?
Yes.
Okay. Please hold.
I think it was the second one I liked, but I can't remember now.
like the one with the stripes, the yellow stripes.
Okay, closing my email, this would be interesting.
Oh.
No, you don't.
The email you sent us was March 20th, just so, for the playground.
Was it March 20th? Okay, thank you.
Yes, yep, just found that one as I'm looking for the locker room.
Okay. Give me a second. I'm going to share this different. I'm going to share content rather than a browser. Okay, do you see the locker room?
Yep.
Okay. So the locker room that pretty much
Yes, the second one is the one I like.
Yeah.
The challenge with this one is this stripe because it's tile, and the tile that they have, and I think I actually have it over here. I can flash it to you. Is like canary yellow, and so I just said no. It's not close to our whatever our number is, Jackie. It wasn't close to it. And let me find it. Yeah. Hand it over. So it wasn't close to that color. So it would have to be a custom piece to do that. It's a little extra cost, but if you want, we're putting a lot of money into this. You want it to look the way you want it to look. You can get the same effect through by taking that and painting it. So see how this is painted here? Same idea, except you take the stripe. You take the stripe and we paint the stripe here.
So the thin strip around the top.
Yeah, so this all gets changed to white, and it just ends up being the yellow stripe around the top where the soffit area is.
Okay.
It's a little harder for maintenance, and if you have to keep it up and hold it on time, but it doesn't have the cost of, the tile pieces. And I know at one point Ann had said, wanting to be able to change it if, folks wanted to, and that could be as simple as
Repainting.
repainting.
So I like that concept there. The great purple lockers are a bit of an eyesore to me, but almost nobody's going to see this. I know I feel like the idea that our locker room team room can incentivize athletes. I did an informal poll of 5 coaches. I think among them are 5 or 6 state titles. And I asked them if they thought that having a display of school colors in locker rooms would make your team perform better. The funny thing was I couldn't get a single one of them to actually think that I was serious, because they could obviously not. I actually could, I think, the paint, I like the idea of paint instead of tiles. There's a chance that other than when we inspect it after that, I'll never see it, so that it may matter. Obviously, locking's not a hill to die for me at all. I would prefer like a nice light gray locker and then a purple and gold stripe up top, something like that, that then would be able to withstand the test of time, not having to obviously pick the lockers are repaintable, but it's a lot more work than touching up a stripe. So that's my perspective. But again, I'm happy about the bleachers, and I can deal on the locker.
Well, I like the idea of having the painted stripe over the top as opposed to the inset tile.
I guess from my perspective, and not specific to the locker room, but just in general, and this should be described known within my common themes, is that we have this architectural character of the building, and it goes back to our alma mater. It's beautiful to view, proud and stately too, and I just don't. I went through 6 persons at alma mater, and I found passing nowhere. And so again, for the locker room, I'm good with anything. I think for not just for the view from the front of the building, but it's our brand, and I think that people have talked about is padding on the end of the gym. That's something that I'm not shocking to have an opinion on as well, and purple fares similarly in that argument as the others. But it's, to me, it's just it's our brand, and I think that, that architectural character, I think it's important to me, and I think it's important to a number of townspeople as well. I'm done.
Yeah, we would carry that painted theme into here.
Yes,
So it would carry through all the way.
yes.
Okay. So with that, I believe this is scheme 1, I believe that is scheme 2 is the painted version of it. That I actually have it on my desk. So what I will do is I will take that, we'll look at scheme 2, we'll look at it painted. Any last thought to the suggestion of the locker color change and looking at 2 stripes?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm going to stop sharing, just so I can see if I can find that playground email quick. Since I still have kind of presenter on the from Mark.
You want me to, I can forward it to you now?
Sure, if you want to.
Yep. How's that?
Thank you. Google's being slow.
I'm sure Google's got its work out in lately.
I was talking earlier with the internet, the internet had like 900% increase in traffic.
I believe it.
There's that.
I want those of you wearing glasses to know that I can read your text messages in your glasses for the question.
Yeah, exactly. That was the generic one. It wasn't the
Wasn't the specific one?
Yeah, it wasn't the specific one. No.
Oh, it was the one you just showed us, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm looking for the renderings that I had before.
Oh. I don't know if I have that one.
Bob, if you want to keep talking, I'll keep looking, and we can always come back and visit it.
Perfect.
Okay. So that's it on the project. I guess I still have a question actually on the project. So just for clarity, I think I had the question at one point about whether we could, whether school construction is considered essential. And if we were good to work, if we had a long enough time. It seems like the 2 weeks is kind of the impediment now, and not necessarily the essentiality.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Schools are essential.
Yep, that was just cleared up in the last proclamation that the schools would be considered kind of the essential work, and right now it is the every 2 week piece. If we had like a month, now we can still start some of the site work, which is the layout work and the stuff behind the bus garage. But there are other things we could do in shorter periods, like if we wanted to start and get the basketball court done and the tennis court out of the way, we could start doing some of the other site work outside now with bus work now, where those 2 weeks wouldn't necessarily impede. It's just we would have to be prepared that if we came back in May, for example, if that's the date, that we would have those things available to us.
Okay. So that's it. There's nothing else currently on the capital project update.
Nope. Just other than that we're getting the paperwork in, we need these pieces done. And as soon as we can get rolling, we're gonna get rolling, but a lot of it is on the closure and how fast we can move.
Perfect. All right, moving on to, board conference reports. I believe there are none, and I didn't speak up if there are. And then board committees, we don't have, so we haven't had our committee meeting. What is the thought of the policy committee moving forward if we have closure through, for another month or to the end of the year?
Well, there are some things that we really do need to take under consideration. So just so that we keep up with our timelines of making sure that the policies that need to be in place have been reviewed and have a chance to be approved by the board. So when Mary feels that she wants to have a conversation, come back to being available for a meeting, then maybe we can set up something like this to have an opportunity to talk. Because we want to be able to have it accessible so if anybody wants to hear what we're talking about. So I just have to get a little bit more tech savvy on how to get that set up. But I do think that we would like to try to have something before our next board meeting.
Perfect. And what are your thoughts, Jackie?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we can set it up this way. I think the members of the communications committee would be. And it might be good to do that, especially during this time where communication is very important. Let's see what we're doing and what maybe some new ideas that we can do that, we haven't thought of.
Perfect. No, that sounds like a great idea. All right, anything further on board committees? Yeah. All right. Let's jump back and finish up the consent agenda piece. We didn't do the minutes part, Jackie, because Ann wasn't there, so I assume she would abstain on those minutes. We just needed a third for the forum on that. So we have a motion to approve the minutes as they appeared in the consent agenda.
So moved.
I was watching and listening, and I would say motion by Jackie.
Second.
Second by all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. All right. Moving on to personnel. Is there anything that people would like to pull out of a group motion?
Bob, could we take the terms and conditions approval out of a group motion?
Certainly.
Consideration?
Do you have a motion for items, well, if there's no objection, there's no other objections, do we have a motion for items B to G under one motion?
So moved.
Motion by Heidi.
Seconded?
Second by Ann. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. All right. Do we have a motion to superintendent's recommendation to approve terms and conditions for Julie's members? You have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Jackie.
Second. Sorry.
Second by Heidi. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Motion fails 0-4. All right, moving on to new business. If there's no objection, I'd like to include items A through C under one motion. Hearing none, do we have a motion for A through C?
So moved.
Motion by Heidi.
Second.
Second by Jackie. Any discussion? All right, so that is the non-resident student tuition request from Ashley Riddell, Jen Russo, and Tara and Jane Calgary. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. We have a motion to for the resolution as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Ann,
Second.
second by Heidi. Any discussion?
Is this something that is part of the emergency declaration that they suggest that the school districts do? Or are they asking all governments to do this, or?
I don't know. So our company has made recommendations in terms of kind of provider cover that the board approved. It has a resolution that approving that happens. The resolution to cite the section where it is allowed to happen, but it just for kind of overall auditor pieces that there's a board resolution approving the payment of folks, so they may not be working their full schedules.
Okay, I just was wondering what was driving that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? All right, so this is the resolution for employees idled by COVID-19 school closure. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. All right, moving on to policy review, exit interview policy and template.
I have to apologize. I have not touched base with Mary on this, and I didn't see a reference in the minutes to what was discussed. But one of the things that we had talked about at the last policy meeting that we had on the 23rd of January was that on this policy interview, there, as a response to what the attorney had, the feedback that they had given us about the policy, is that the superintendent might have a conflict. Being the full person to do these interviews, and we had suggested that the superintendent check back to see about having board members or board committees be able to operate in as a group that would be doing some of the interviews. So, Dr. Glover, were you able to do that?
Yeah, I do have that information. That's two there. Part of the concern, and I have the email that I can share. The attorney's concern is even having a board committee do that, because ultimately the board is the end that would approve or disapprove any personnel appointment or accept those resignations. So there was some concern on the attorney's behalf, as well as having the board have a committee to be part of that exit interview process. Recommended someone who might have been outside of that, what that chain of command would be, for example, like the business manager, that would be there because they're not part of that line of the decision-making process necessarily. Was part of the piece. So I had the email that was waiting for a committee meet, but we hadn't got, our situation got there. So that's kind of where it sits at this point.
Okay, so it's still something that we need to kind of firm up as to who will be doing those kinds of interviews.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Any further discussion on the exit interview policy or template? No. Jackie?
Nope.
All right. I thought I think template makes some sense. Obviously, it needs to be applied to things depending on all those circumstances. Right? Who the person is, who the interviewer is. And the circumstances under which they leave. So there actually needs to be lots of flexibility in that, and I think that was built in. Moving on to topics for future board meetings.
I do have a few. One of the things that these don't necessarily have to be on the next agenda, but as we come up, it's time for conversations. We do have the communications line in our agenda, and I just want to make sure that we have a consistent policy and procedure for how that line is utilized. Also, I would like to have a discussion about our donations, how they're handled, to make sure that the processes and procedures that we have in place are following the policy that we have. And one of the things I think we need to take a look at is, just as we will be reviewing contracts, one of the things that we can do is take a look at creating a handbook for terms and conditions. So I do think that that's something that we need to start a conversation about.
Agreed.
Look at a handbook for terms and conditions.
Perfect. Any further topics for future meetings? One thing that, and not at all, I'm not suggesting we do this anytime soon, but it's always in the back of my mind is we had the Superintendent from Newcomb come down and talk about all the international students coming on visas, and it's something that I think about from time to time. As I think Newcomb gets, I don't remember how many they get, Dave. I think it's 20 or 30 students that they get. And,
that sounds right. I'm not certain on the number.
I mean, in their case, it's close to a third of their students, I think. But,
Yeah.
I know that Queensbury has also started a program and has a few. And it just seems like, some of there's some things unique about us and about our program, about our ag program, that, that's something that could draw students.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So something that we could, I think that probably happened before my three current board members who are on this meeting were on the board, right? I think that happened before you went on the board?
No, we were there when he came down to speak.
Okay.
Yep. Ann was.
Yeah, we were there.
Okay. Any other topics for future board members? None. We're going to go to our public audience. I'm kind of excited about this. We're going to get a chance to hear from the public. We have a few people. So we have I don't see Wendy anymore, but I think we still have Wendy on. We have Marcy on, Kimberly, and James. So and Pam. Looks like Mr. was not on anymore, but I kind of like it. I see. There we go. And so any comments from the public? We can unmute you if you just raise your hand or give us the sign. I guess actually why don't we unmute?
I have a comment too if you need to.
That's right. So you can type in a comment. And we could unmute. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
No, Wendy typed one in when we were talking about the locker room. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have not.
She asked if there were any photos of a neutral sample of the locker room. Like, I'm assuming she meant neutral locker size.
Yeah.
So I think I'd say the answer is no, correct? I mean, the three that we've seen are the three that we saw. Yeah.
There is a color, just like there was a color palette for the playground, there is a color palette and scheme for lockers as well.
That has non-purples on it?
Of course, there's other schools have on their own color.
Further questions? Maybe we could unmute. Why don't we, so Jane doesn't have her last name on there. I assume that's Jane Daly. So like Shakir or Cher, first name on it.
Good job.
Maybe we could unmute her just for a second if because she doesn't have any other way to let us know if that's any public comment. Are you there, Jane? I think she's still muted. Yeah, she's unmuted.
Wait a minute. I'm here.
Now we got you. We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me?
Now we can, yes. Any problems?
I just go by one name now. That's it now. Now that we got to get rid of that Lori girl, it's just Jane. What's going on? Yeah. So what I wanted to just say too is thanks. The communication has been really good. Can you guys can all hear me? as far as like what's going on in the district and what we've been doing here at home. It's been an interesting challenge, something unique for us to all deal with. Thanks to Dave for all the communication he's given us back and forth. It's been really upfront with everything going on. The one thing I just wanted to bring up was when Ann asked a question about the resources that we're having, and we did do that tech survey that Julie talked about right before we closed. An interesting little, I don't know, a little glitch that came up that I don't think a lot of us were expecting was the amount of that kids have. At least a lot of my students have the internet access at home. It's just now there's a hot demand for the access at home. So we're now having a parent that's working at home. We're having a college kid working at home. So it's been that interesting flexibility where I'm getting emails for parents who have been great communicating. This has been good too. Saying, our kid can't get on until the weekend because he's in the last of the pecking order kind of. Get onto the internet. So it's a whole different thing. I don't know how to fix that, just the idea of the flexibility. But it was, I think, an unforeseen part of the resources, that they have access, that they have a computer. You just weren't expecting 5 people to be needing that one computer or 2 computers. I don't know how to fix that. It's just one of those things that are coming at that. We just all have to be flexible in this whole time.
Definitely. That's a good point. Well, thank you. That's a really good point. And I think, also the point before about just families sometimes only having, one smartphone for one family, or just limited devices. I think that, those are obvious impediments that some families will take that as well, and, just concerned about the equity issues that may present. Well, thank you very much, Jane.
Sure.
Kim Irby, maybe we can, unmute Kim Irby, see if she has any, public comment. I don't think I can. Yeah, you have to do that, Dave.
No, do I still have it? All right, Ken. There you go, Ken.
I'm good. I'm fine, but thank you.
And then, I think everybody else has a camera, so we can see them. So if Mrs. Payne or Wendy shut hers off, maybe that means she doesn't want to speak, or Marcy. All right, or Mr. O'Sullivan.
Come on!
Seeing no response. All right. And yes, Wendy. All right, perfect. Let's
Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yes, go ahead.
Do I have to stand and say my name?
I failed to require that.
Your name is Cohen. I just want to thank you guys for working so hard. My son is an only child. This is the only thing that is his connection to the outside world right now, and he loves the online education. He might want to keep it this way. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for everybody for all your hard work. It's been great. I have no complaints with it at all. And also thanks for the neutral wood bleachers. I'm really happy with that choice. Yay. And I think that's about it for me.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Mrs. Payne or Mr. O'Sullivan?
I would probably like to say I'm probably learning more than my kids are as far as technology because this has been awful. But today I did have 4 saxophones that came in and did medals. I had a recorder that played yesterday. I've got junior chorus kids sending in, some are sending videos with their assignments. So we are learning. Getting my packets out to the other little kids, and today I did have a parent send a picture of their rainbow connection challenge type thing that I did with the videos, and I'm posting videos on the sites too. I'm not sure exactly who is here seeing my stuff and getting it, but I do get something once in a while from a parent, so that's kind of cool. Like last Friday, I got one from a kindergartner dad, and he kept texting me or emailing me, and I'm saying, this was for 2 weeks. They were trying to cram it all in one morning. My kids are really enjoying chatting to everybody. Okay.
Well, they're going to drama camp next week since we're not on vacation. I made up a drama camp for the kids. That should be fun because parents can get involved in that. So, should be fun.
Yeah, this one's probably great next week, but nowhere to go.
Well, you have choices too.
I can go outside.
Yeah. So that's it. It's just thanks. It's just hard. I know I send out emails, help, I can't do this. And next thing you know, I got 3 or 4 of my colleagues giving me answers, sending me videos on what I should be doing to get my answer. So it's working.
Thank you for sharing about your experience. That's very insightful. Any other public comments? All right, this is probably the last one, so it's negative, then you just wave if you're unmuted now.
No, I just wanted to thank everybody. I mean, you didn't have a lot of time, and everybody, teachers and administrators alike, really stepped up, and a lot of students have stepped up. Even though we can't see each other face to face as much as we'd like, a lot of the comments to assignments have just been amazing, insightful, and I don't know, I'm just really proud of everybody involved and what I'm seeing so far. I mean, as you guys are talking, I've got a group text going with, Frank, Bob, Anna, and a number of the teachers in our hallway about how things are going, things we can improve. If this gets extended, what can we do better? What's working? What's not working? So it's just been a hell of a ride, but I'm really happy that I'm working with the people I'm working with.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that.
I have just one more thing. This is Jane. Are you back to me?
Yep,
okay.
Back to you. Go ahead.
So, do you guys have any idea how to do closed caption on this thing?
No.
Is there a closed caption feature?
Somewhere.
Okay, thank you. So that's all I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Echoes a lot. I'm just trying to figure I'll work on it.
Have to reload.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
We missed Marcy, Bob. Marcy.
I know, we're just missing Marcy for 100%, so we're not really pushing that to be something. I get 100% of our public attendees. You're on, Marcy.
And unmute her.
Got to unmute herself.
She's
There you go.
Hey, Marcy.
Hi. I have nothing.
Or nothing, okay.
Hey, Marcy, how your work?
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for participating in public comment. All right, then executive session. Do we have a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of discussion of one history of a particular person or persons and collective negotiation?
So moved.
Motion by Heidi.
Second.
Second by Ann. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. I don't think we anticipate any action.
Perfect.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Everyone has the link.
Bye.
Yeah, so we leave this and go to the next link. Perfect. Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Good morning.
Adios.